All right. Like to call this meeting to order, and Angie, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bunting,
Present.
Commissioner Lumberman,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Murphy,
Here.
and Commissioner Bailey is in Florida.
All right, very good. Commissioner Lemmerman, could you give us a prayer this evening?
A few moment of silence for all the police officers and servicemen that are working hard on our safety and our freedom.
Thank you, Jan. John?
Heavenly Father, we ask that you would be with us tonight, that you would guide us to consider each other kindly and with consideration, and that as we take up the business of the people of Gratiot County, that we make all of our decisions in the best interests of the taxpayers of Gratiot County. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Born and unborn. All right. I would like to add one thing under new business if we could. I think we should discuss the mask requirement here. I know the deputies are getting quite a bit of resistance on it. I'd like to discuss it. Without an objection, we could add that to the agenda.
New business?
New business, we'll make it item 4. And anyone have anything else? I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda then.
I make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
Motion by Commissioner Bunting, support by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed. Public comment. Anyone would like to address the commission?
I think you guys are on the agenda. You're on the, Parrington's on the agenda.
Carrington's on the agenda. Yeah. Anyone online? Matt, you see anybody?
Nope, I don't see anybody else connected in.
Okay. All righty. Let's move on. The consent calendar. Anyone like to remove anything? Just talk about it.
Move to accept the consent calendar.
Move to accept. Commissioner Smith, we have a second.
A second.
Second, Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
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 Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. Looks like we're up to you, Tracy.
Well, good evening, everyone. I know that many of you were able to attend the unveiling of the naming of the circuit court courtroom upstairs. For members of the public who were not aware of this or not able to attend, I just want to make sure that you know that there was another honor conferred upon the now retired and probably senior Judge Randy Tavonen. If you're in the building, I hope you will go up and take a look. It's up there on the 4th floor where the circuit court courtroom is located, and just take a look at the naming of that courtroom. Quite an honor, quite appropriate. And I also want to make sure that the public knows that this was the brainchild and the effort primarily of Judge Stuart McDonald and Commissioner Sam Smith. Great event, and thank you for allowing me to participate. I have through email been passing along some notes to you folks about activity in Lansing relating to the Open Meetings Act. There is some interest in some corners in returning flexibility to local entities and to elected officials like you folks in attending meetings remotely. Changes to the act that became effective as of January 1, as you know, and as we have discussed a great deal, only allow remote attendance if a member is not able to participate because of military service. That's been very difficult. There are two bills that have been introduced, House Bill 5608 and Senate Bill 705, each of which seek to return to allowing elected officials, local officials like yourselves, to attend meetings remotely if a quorum is physically present. And this is the way it's been in the past. It's gone through some changes in recent years, but there's a hope to, in some circles, to return to the previous scheme. I also forwarded to you a portion of an opinion that was issued by the Michigan Attorney General. In it, she sought to reconcile what seemed to be conflicts between the Open Meetings Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act. In short, she offered guidance that remote meeting attendance is a legitimate accommodation under the ADA. So these are not circumstances that I think will arrive all that often, but when it does, that clarification is there. The GIS Authority, I don't know that they've met in quite some time, but they are holding their annual organizational meeting this Thursday, February 17th. They will hold it in the commissioners' meeting room where you now sit, as they have historically done. So that will be, we're examining now how to keep the crowd down, keep everybody safe because of the ongoing incidents of COVID-19.
Tracy, can I ask you a question? That's this Thursday at what time?
That is this Thursday at 5 p.m.
Thank you.
Yes. And just beyond that, the monthly reports are attached from COA, HR, IT, Animal Shelter. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy. Any questions?
Tracy, is there anything update on the windmills, the windmill depreciation struggle?
I've been monotonous in saying to you that it is moving forward. It is moving by inches. I can now say that the devil is in the details, very close. There is some writing that is being done, and that's really all I can say at this point. But there continues to be forward progress, and we continue to be very optimistic.
Okay. Do you have any? Is there anything upcoming that's like a timeline of anything happening?
Yeah, there was the hope of having it all done and sealed up by Christmas of last year. And I don't mean to be flip. It's you know, the MREC, we're just a little bit more agile than DTE, and as we have sent in proposals, or as we have received proposals, we've been able to crunch numbers and turn responses and counter proposals around pretty quickly. DTE has a great deal of corporate infrastructure, and it's been nearly a month between proposals, so that has slowed things a great deal. But no, I don't have a specific timeline for you at this point.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to commissioners' reports. Commissioner Lemmerman.
I don't have any report
And
tonight.
I don't have anything either. Commissioner Bunning.
I'm just thinking, yes, I had a MMR meeting last Thursday, and I do have the paperwork to give to you. I left it in the car, so I'll try to give that to you before I go. And that's the only meeting I've attended.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
I've just been in touch with a couple of townships with the planning commissions and some stuff here the last couple of weeks. New Haven, I think they've made an agreement on the windmill for their planning commission. I think they're going to take it back to their board. They were having some struggles over roads and stuff like that. And then Fulton Township, I believe that they went to their planning commission. I believe they have another meeting set up to decide on a recommendation or not. And then it'll go to the board, I think next Thursday morning, I believe they meet. Not this Thursday, next Thursday, I think it is. Is it the last Thursday of the month? Is it? Yeah, I think it's the last. So I think they're going to meet one more time, and then they're trying to get geared up for the county planning commissions. for in New Haven, I think, right away. And then Fulton, I think they're gonna have a couple more weeks of meetings yet, but that's where they're at on that.
All righty, thank you. Let's move on to new business then. Village of Parrington, looks like you're first up. If you could, the mic is better picked up here at the podium. If you could come up to the podium, who's ever gonna, or however many of you.
You guys received, we have some letters here that I have copies if you guys don't have them.
We have 3 different proposals here.
Yes, 3.
Okay,
Sir,
Do the sewer authority first.
I can do the sewer authority first, yes. Most people don't know the Village of Parrington and Fulton Township are in a unique authority together where we run the whole sewer system, the combined between the 2 entities. We do that as a split between the 2 based on usage. The Village of Parrington does take charge in operating that. We are the ones that license that. Even though it's a authority that is in charge of the funding. We're submitting a request to repair some dike banks out there. The changing weather patterns the last couple of years have caused some more erosion than normal. And the state was in this year, told us that that was going to be a higher priority on their inspections. And they did require us to do 1 emergency repair. You'll see listed in there. We did 1 emergency repair, approximately 450 foot long, and it cost us $29,000. We have some more work that needs to be done. I expect them to come in and identify another section this spring if we don't get it done before they get there, of more repairs that they'd be requiring us to do. Estimated out at the price we've been paying with some of the road rebuilding that we have to do to get the equipment in there to do the work. The spots that we have identified, about $134,000 worth of work at that facility. And that's just repairing the dike banks from erosion and keeping things contained in there.
That's at the ponds.
Yep, that's the sewage ponds. They're on the south end of Rainbow Lake, right next to the road as we go down there. A lot of communities have their sewer facilities tucked back where people don't see them as much or have as much interacted with them. But our facilities were built right next to a fairly upscale community. Everybody has to drive by them. Actually, anybody that drives by those, the work that has been done is close to the road, and it's made the facilities look nicer for the community also. If I could talk more about that facility, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I guess I'd asked before, but what did the village get for their ARP money? You got like 25 or 20?
We have 40,000, I believe. 40,000 was the allotment we received.
Put some of that in your emergency repair?
We only received 20 of the 40.
Yeah.
We give you half.
Oh, you only got half first, then you get another
Yes.
March or something. Don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. They might be on a different schedule though.
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move on to the next document, which is the village sewer document. I don't know if that's how it came labeled up as you guys, village sewer generator replacement. Just completed the whole village was analyzed. We utilized a SAW grant to identify deficiencies in our sewer, our storm sewer and our sanitary sewer system over the last couple of years, and put a whole plan together of the needed improvements that need to come and scheduled them out. We adjusted rates to make those projects affordable for our residents. Although as we identified those and working on these projects, more projects arose like usual. We went through a project and replaced some valving to just make repairs and stuff more easy to do on our aging equipment. Some of those valves weren't as operable and as completely sealing up as it could have been. While we were in that project, we realized that the emergency bypass piping that was installed in the 70s never had to be utilized, but like in a power outage with a severe flooding situation, that's the type of times where that may have to be utilized. Well, it's not even configured properly to be able to be used correctly. So we had to have trucks there while we were doing this valve replacement just to clean this out. And that's another $12,680 worth of valving to reconfigure that piping that was put in the 70s. And while we were in doing that, we realized that our generator that was 8 years old dropped all the coolant out of it. And for some reason, that generator did not have a coolant low level sensor on it. Every other generator that we have has one. And when it lost the coolant, it didn't register that it was overheating because there was no coolant there for that sensor to check. Because of it not having a low coolant line, it still wanted to run. So that's this request here as a generator replacement and bypass piping, which comes out to $34,105. That's our main pumping station that pumps all the material out of the actual village out towards Rainbow Lake. So that's funding there. That's not a matched portion. That's a portion of the sewer that just the village residents would pay for.
So what happens if there is a big storm and power is lost and you don't have these systems in place? What are we talking about? What happens in a situation?
We would have an untreated discharge.
That would go into the lake.
That would go into the lake upstream from where it's at there, yes. The other one, the dike erosion would be a different problem, but this would be, it would end up going into the Pine Creek through our storm sewer system. Once our sanitary backed up far enough, it would go into the storm system, which would then leak out to Pine Creek, which would then into Rainbow Lake.
Has this happened from time to time?
This has not since I've been.
The generators have always.
Yep, we do have a backup generator that we keep, and that's a PTO mounted tractor generator that for instances where if that automatic generator doesn't work, we can get out there and get it pumping down and running without that.
Okay.
Yep, we kept not only did we put in that backup system, but we kept that original fail-safe backup.
Yeah.
Yes, it does have we do have an operation. It just takes the manpower it's not automatic. Sure, it's a manual backup system. And with the bypass pumping right now, the bypass piping that's not properly done, that would be a case where in our sewer lift station, there's redundant of everything. So in order to actually have to use that, it was nice that they put it in the 70s, but with there being a redundant pump, redundant controller, it's never had to be used. In this time where we were replacing the valves, we could have used it, but with it not being properly plumbed in, it wasn't put in for, maybe it was put in for, if you were tearing down the whole lift station and rebuilding it completely, you could use it. With it not being put in right, you couldn't use it. So we had to rely on some backup pumping trucks that would just pump the material out and pump it down to the waste facility, down to the lagoon for us. Where if those would have been working, we could have just put a pump in, a gas powered pump, and pumped basically around a loop right into that bypass piping and not had the trucks on the road or whatever and just used that.
I have a question.
Yes,
Okay, so you really have three different things here that are really, I feel really important that need to be fixed.
sure.
And I added them all together, it comes to 312,035, and minus the 29,000 you'd be getting. So about, are you asking for $283,035?
Yes, between all three departments. I treated them as three separate because we treat our water and our sewer system separate. And also we treat that shared sewer authority with the township as a separate project also. So that would be the total amount I'm asking for.
You're asking, are you gonna deduct 20,000 that you're gonna get?
29,000, but I,
They got 40 total, right?
40 total.
20 already, they're gonna get another 20.
oh, another 20. Well, okay, I did that wrong then.
I guess the question is are you gonna use that 20 toward this?
We will.
We will get 40. We have 20 currently.
We have 20 currently.
You use that on the repair already. Yeah.
But there could still be emergency things involving these, am I right?
Yeah,
Into
yeah.
replacing and so I'd like to make a motion that we give them 300,000 and then takes care of, I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff there. That's
Oh.
major.
And it's all needed projects. It's not anything it's stuff we've been planning on having done. We're just looking for the funding to do it. And, I always describe it, a lot of our citizens come to us and complain about why are some of our rates higher than some of these bigger cities around. I always describe it to them that if you have a car yourself, you're responsible for repairing it. Now, if you and 10 of your friends go together to own that car together, now you have 10 people that can share the cost of that. And being as small as we are, it takes us longer to build those funds up just from our utility bills. So,
A lot of that stuff is really old, isn't it?
yeah, really old. Nobody wants to pay any more for it. It's all just coming. Lots of repairs are needed.
Yeah.
Now, on the painting project, you said that then that a project after that would be a complete
Sandblast.
standing and everything. How long is this supposed to hold the water tower?
So they tell you about 10 years. We were lucky and we've gotten 13 out of our last overcoat, but they have told us this will be the last overcoat that they would recommend doing. They did give us the option to do the complete paint job, but we weren't sure. We were originally thinking about coming to you guys to see if we could get that money to do the complete paint job now and kind of get that ball rolling first. But we've already signed the contract documents to just have an overcoat done because we weren't sure what kind of funding was available. And our contractors were wanting to get it set in schedule. And it was a different contractor to do the overcoat versus a different contractor to do the sandblast and complete paint. So we went ahead and moved forward with the overcoat.
One other question I have to ask you too is, these are things you have to do. Is there any kind of grants out there or anything like that that you look at or? Not
We
possible.
have utilized USDA grants in there. The water meter project is one of the things that we have to keep in satisfactory condition in order to be eligible to apply for grants and loans through them. That was something that the village had never actually did until 2008 when we got the USDA loan and grant for some well work. They also made us include a water metering system in there to just keep track of our water usage better in order to be eligible for those grants in the future.
Another thing too, how long will it take you? This is a lot of work. How long will this take you? A couple of years to get all this done or?
No, I'm anticipating to have all this done this year. The dike erosion may take a couple years, but the painting project, the water meter project will definitely be majority completed. If we can get the materials, that's been a struggle. Anytime we've ordered anything, this valve replacement that took 7 months, I believe, from the time we ordered the valves until the time the valves were in. So that'll play a big part in it too.
How long will this repaint last, do you think? How long do you think that'll last, they give you, they'll let you repaint it one more time, but how long before you really have to do the whole thing again? Your last repaint lasted how long?
13 years.
13 years. So
The last overcoat lasted 13 years. So
you get another 10 out of this.
yeah, I'm hoping at least 10, if not another 13.
They have even better paint now than they did probably 10 years ago.
It is a different paint, a better paint that's supposed to adhere better. That's the biggest problem with it. In certain spots, it'll start flaking off, and then you have that bare metal, and you don't want to have that bare metal causing, just like a car, bare metal showing it deteriorates faster. So
Okay, Jan, did you make a motion?
Yeah.
Did I hear
I'm
that?
hoping that's enough
Yeah.
for you.
Motion
It's a
for
good time to do this.
300,000. Did we have a second on that?
Why not just give them 12,000 extra? They're gonna have 20 ain't gonna fix nothing if there's something.
Okay. Do it, what, 325,000?
No,
312?
312,
Okay.
312, or something.
Oh, here, it was,
Whatever you added up.
it was 300, well, make it 315,000 because it was 315,000. I'll make a motion.
I'd support that.
Motion by Commissioner Bunting, second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? I'm assuming, Chris, we decided this meets criteria.
We have not reviewed this proposal.
This under the $10 million rule. That changed?
I'm not sure that that's how the $10 million rule is applied.
Any projects that are under the normal umbrella of governmental services would be eligible.
Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion?
We need a roll call.
John?
Two things. Have we as a board put a moratorium on consideration until a certain date? Do we have something in effect now?
I don't think we
I don't think we put a date down.
I think we put a pause, didn't we?
Pause, but the problem you got is that we're gonna have another community coming, a couple communities coming to us, and if you want to get something done now, I mean, if you have to order a valve today, it might not get done till the fall.
I understand. I just
Yeah.
wondered, I had thought,
Tracy sent that email out, and I said, I just think, let them come, and if they have their projects ready, and let's just.
I agree. This is something that you don't just get up tomorrow and start on it. There's a lot of preparing and ordering and backing up people, getting people to do the job.
He's not ordering a paint, he's got a company. That's gonna
Yeah.
do towers,
But I mean,
yeah.
companies, but I mean, you probably want to do, get bids and stuff like that. That takes
I
time.
think, yeah. We,
my second question is if we were going to put 315 into this and you folks were going to put 40 into this, if there would be some savings, where the whole amount is not spent, like, would we want to word the motion like up to 315?
Well, I don't think I think when you, like you said, when you get started on something, this stuff is old. And you start repairing it and you find out, oh, you're gonna have to do this too. A good example is Alma. They're redoing some stores downtown to make a hotel.
When we put that pipe in. it was-
Yeah, and they were all set to do all this work, and then all of a sudden they found out they had to do other work in order to do that. One problem goes into another problem, and this is a big chunk that you can get done.
And along those same lines, we have projects identified out further in the, if there's money, if say that 40,000 that we have is left over, there's projects coming up that are not already completely behind schedule, but that we could move up in the schedule if there's more money. We have a list of projects identified that are all these same type of projects, repair and maintenance projects of these aging systems.
Another question I have for you too, you have a lot of citizens out there paying probably 4 different projects or millages. Will this be able to, back off on some of those?
It'll definitely help with our water and sewer rates, maybe be able to consider not offset any future utility raises for or rises in those utility bills for a little bit.
I think that's important.
All righty. Any other questions?
I've just seen another community. I know that just did new water stuff like you're doing, what new water meters. And they let a lot of water get bypass them. I mean, if you're buying 10 gallons a month was your normal rate, maybe you were getting 12 for 10 gallons, just because they were flowing by the meter. And I mean, I just seen this community, it was amazing. They ended up eventually lowering their rate down a little bit because they were really using more water.
Sure.
They're getting all the money in right for the amount of water they were selling. I'm not suggesting you need to do that, but I just seen this community that I have a business that did that. That when they put the meters in, they actually knew how much water was going out. They were using a ton of water, and
It's helped us tremendously being able to just track our water usage and make sure we don't, it helps us check for leaks also, make sure we're not just wasting water. Things like that.
I'd like to just say something real quick, just go on record to say that the ARP funds cannot be used to offset any type of taxes or anything like that. And I know that's not what you intended to say, but I wanted to just make sure that we're on the record saying that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fees and taxes are a different thing though.
well, who knows if that'll even happen.
Yeah,
You're gonna be billing them for the right amount. If you bought them 12 gallons of water, you're gonna get billed for 12 gallons.
yes. Our current billing would still stay in place no matter what. I mean, so this funding may allow us to not have to make a water rate increase. Maybe as soon as we might have to without this funding.
All righty. Any other questions? Angie, could you call the roll, please, then?
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey is absent, Commissioner Bunting,
Yes,
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes. Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Next, Tony Miller, you're
I'm presenting this issue tonight.
okay.
It's a simple cyclical replacement issue, except for the cost. I provided a memorandum that thoroughly discusses the issue, so I would ask if you have questions. What we're asking is for you to approve the cost of this thing. You had approved the project earlier, but the cost of everything has skyrocketed. And also that you approve the selection of Burford as the lowest bid, excuse me. I'll take any questions.
Any questions on this? So there's two numbers here. We're requesting 15.8 or 16.9.
The two numbers given to you are the two bids that were received. The bid documents by those
Okay.
vendors is, excuse me, it is attached. The two numbers are the bids that we received. The low bid
Okay.
is the Burford number.
Okay, great.
Tracy, this will be out of the ARP funds also.
This would be out of the,
Is that on the budget?
I think, yes, given the changes, I'm quite sure this could be covered by ARP.
We gotta get it fixed. Fix it, take the lowest bid.
Motion by Commissioner Smith. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Tracy, I did have one question. Kind of leaned back in the courthouse upstairs a little while ago. And I saw where the roof was leaking and all that stuff was peeled down in there. We had anybody look at that?
I'm sorry, what part of the courthouse, Sam?
In the ceiling of the old courthouse upstairs in Circuit Court? Just happened to kind of stretch and I looked up and that hole where we had a leak, they said the leak is fixed where we got the roof done.
Yeah,
But the inside, do we have anybody looking at that or?
that's on the project list for this year. We needed first to address the roof project, the ceiling and so forth. And yeah, that now is
I
going
just
to be
looked up
addressed.
there and said, God, I hope we're fixing that because it looks terrible.
Yeah, that's why we forbid people from looking up while in that.
All right, I just kind of stretched there. That doesn't look bad.
Just don't do that anymore, please.
Okay, I will.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, and then Matt, you have an update for us?
Yep, let me go ahead and share out my screen. I've just got a very brief PowerPoint that I'd like to go over. And let me get my video started. There we go. Hello. So tonight I just wanted to give the board a brief update on the email migration project. Just to remind everybody, the goals of the migration are to improve security, meet our compliance standards, and then improve that user experience for our users. We've been working on this for quite some time now. We kind of kicked this off back in September of last year, where I started doing email account audits, and we formed a work group to meet so that they could kind of take a look at the system that we were proposing and give us feedback on how they thought that that would work for them. Since then, we've had another work group meeting, and I presented to the board a couple of times just to give you all updates on how this project's going. Early this February, I got some user training documents posted to the Gratiot County website, and both Devin and I at IT Right have been working every day getting things all organized and structured so that this rollout can go as smoothly as possible. So we've been actually doing account building on the back end. That's not impacting any of our users right now, but we do have some user impacting things coming up on the horizon here. Our new system is scheduled to go live on the February 22nd, which is next Tuesday. February 21st is next Monday. We're actually closed for President's Day. So Devin and I are going to use that as an opportunity to kind of shut down the old system, or at least put it on pause while we get some data transferred out of it, so that when we go live on the 22nd, everything is where it should be and everybody's able to just hop into the new system and at least get rolling on checking their email and sending out emails and that type of basic functionality. Like I said, we've been migrating that email on the back end without impacting our users. On our day of go live on the 22nd, next Tuesday, I'll have some additional support staff here from IT Right, and we'll be working on meeting up with individual users and migrating over their contacts and their calendar information. Unfortunately, that data can't be automatically moved into those new accounts. So we're going to have to actually meet with individual users and assist them with migrating that information over. We'll also be asking all of our staff that have Gratiot County issued cell phones to be bringing in those devices so that we can get those devices connected to the new email system that week as well. And IT Right's going to be on site to assist with that. And like I said, I'll be here to help staff with this transition. We'll have 2 additional IT Right technicians just dedicated to the email migration, and then we'll have our typical on-site staff available to assist next week as well. I wanted to kind of talk about how change can be difficult for staff. I know that with a new system, some people might have some anxiety about that, but when we met with those work group members, the feedback I received from everyone was that the new email system is very familiar and easy to navigate. And for our staff that have been using the current email system, this new system is just easier to use. We're also making those training documents available on the Gratiot County website for our users as well. When we roll out this new system, one of the things I kind of like to talk about is, especially in regards to change and how people learn the new system, is there's one good analogy, and that's driving a new automobile. So learning this new email system is going to be like learning how to drive a new car for a lot of people. There's going to be certain things that are just in the same spot, just like if you were to hop into any car. Your steering wheel is always in front of you. You've always got that accelerator and brake pedal down, on the floor. So there's certain things like the way that the email software is laid out, it's going to be very familiar. Everyone's going to just intuitively know how to use it if they've used an email system before. There's also that functionality that's similar, but kind of located it in a different area. So in that car analogy, that's like where your turn signals are, or which way you flipped the windshield wiper stick to make your windshield wipers go. In email, there's going to be different steps that you might have to take to do different things, like building out a calendar appointment. You'll know how to do it because you've done it before, but the steps may be different or in a different order. And then there's some features that are just done in a completely different way that are going to require the users to either seek help from the built-in help feature that's in the email system, or they're going to have to chat with a coworker or reach out to IT to figure out how to do those things. And in the car analogy, that's like changing the car clock. Nobody really knows how to do it. You tend to have to pull out the manual and kind of look it up. There's going to be things like that with our email system where you just might not be able to figure it out, and you may have to reach out to somebody or look at the manual and figure out how to do it. So that's like setting up an out-of-office message in our email system. And then there's going to be some functionality in this new system that people just have never used before because it's unique, or because this new system is more modern. These features weren't available on the old system. And with that car analogy, it kind of makes me think of like adaptive cruise control or lane keep assist, where the newer cars that come out will, slow your car down or speed it up to keep up with traffic or keep you in the center of your lane. How that translates with this email migration is like, there's new features that this new email system have, like being able to schedule out when an email gets sent out, or being able to attach files that are located on the internet rather than on your local PC, or sending out those encrypted emails. Those are things that people may not know how to do because our old email system didn't have that functionality. So we're going to have to teach people how to use those things so that they can make the best use of the system as possible. After we launch next week, we plan on launching with a few main features, which is the email system, which is comprised of email, contacts, and calendar. There's also a chat functionality that we'll be launching that first week. After that, though, we'll be slowly rolling out some of the more advanced products that are kind of part of our subscription. And we'll be rolling those out at department heads' requests, and I'll be meeting with department heads to see which things they might be interested in or might be able to use in their department. Now that the board's approved that data protection policy, we're going to, after this email system has been launched and is working well, we're going to start doing security exercises within it, which is basically going to take the form of us sending out suspicious looking emails to our own users to see how many of them or how few of them click on those suspicious emails, to kind of gauge how vulnerable we are to those types of attacks. And then if they fail those security exercises, we're going to ask them to participate in some additional security training. And then kind of down the road a little bit further, currently when we upgrade PCs, we will purchase single retail copies of our Microsoft Office software. That software is part of this new subscription. So we'll be slowly stopping purchasing those single retail copies and just using the subscription model that we're already doing as part of this email rollout. And that's really all I had to share with the board tonight. I just wanted to give you all a brief update and offer you the opportunity to ask questions if you had any.
Okay, any questions for Matt?
Matt, that training you talked about, would that be an online training type of thing, where you go through like a little class? Yeah, I was on a bank board, we had to do that. They just made us do that, and you had to pass this little test or something.
Are you talking about training for the security awareness training?
Security, right, yep. And what looks like phishing and what looks like real.
Yeah, there's going to be the plan behind that right now is that our users would undergo a short 15-minute, 20-minute training video or module initially once a year, initially when they're hired, and then once a year after that. So it would be a video online that they would watch and a quiz at the end type thing.
Matt, will you send the training out to us as well?
For the security awareness or for just email training in general?
I think the email in particular, because I've had some phishing things sent to me. Like, as a result of the upgrade, do you think the software will eliminate the phishing? Or do you think that the training of the employees, or is it just a two-pronged approach to just double cover everything?
It's definitely a two-pronged approach. No system will be able to automatically pull out every phishing email. It's just they're too complex and too varied in their different approaches. So we need to have the software in place to try to prevent as many users from actually receiving those as possible. But we also need to train the users because something's eventually going to sneak through. It's just kind of the nature of the beast.
The phishing training itself, is that a long and involved, or is it short and sweet?
It'll be about 15 to 20 minute training video. So it's
Okay.
not going to be super long or intense. Like I said, if people still fall for the phishing exercises, they may have to complete some additional training, but the aim isn't to burden people with lots and lots of training. It's to educate people so that they don't click on those links.
If I wanted to do that myself, I could come in here and do it?
Yeah, I'll have more information to share about that after the email project is all wrapped up. But
Okay.
yeah, we do plan on offering that training to the board.
I appreciate your interest, Commissioner Limmerman, because the plan here, once we get all the pieces together, is actually to build this into our new employee onboarding system as well. We already do some, run them through some, discrimination stuff, but this will, so important is our user practices to any system that we will be incorporating it into our onboarding process. And really every user, every single one of us can break this whole thing down. So it's also very important that every user, and frankly, including commissioners, undergo this training.
The one at the organization I was involved in, once you really look at the video and watch the video, you can kind of say, oh yeah, you just look right here and you can see that's not right. It really points out a lot of stuff about what's not right on some of this phishing stuff. And it might not, there was just different things like in the header or in the line that comes through when it looks just like, it'd be just like Gratiot County, but might be just one letter different or a dot someplace else or something. And you think that's not our mail, or that's not from us. Yeah, it's kind of an amazing thing.
In my instance, twice, two different occasions, several months apart, I could have swore I was getting an email from Chuck. And I did not go to great lengths to examine it, but until I'm replying, it was only at the reply phase that I could see it was not going back to it.
Yeah, I heard from a commissioner in Macomb County, and they felt that somebody was targeting commissioners thinking that it would get a better response.
How could you tell?
The reply, it was not going back to cmurphy@gratiotmi.com. It was going back to Yahoo, and it was a complicated Yahoo email.
Yeah, or they'll move the period. They'll move the period over two spots, and you just think, well, that's not like mine. Why is his different? Yeah.
All righty, any other questions? Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Okay, I'd like to move on to discuss the mask requirement that we're under here right now.
What's the strain option stuff here? Chuck? It's just
That's going to be in the finance.
Is this in finance? Okay. I don't have anything else on here. So I know like we get updates daily from the school on how many cases we're having, and it's down to an absolute trickle, even one a day or less. So I'm just wondering if we should continue this mask requirement or maybe make it voluntary.
I see I've been watching the news regularly, and at the end of this month, our president is going to lift everything.
And I was also looking at the John Hopkins report, and it seems that we're getting minimal bang for the buck on these kind of things. So I just wanted to bring it up for discussion.
Where's the school at? Where is the school at today? I mean, if my kids if I had a senior going to almost.
Yeah, I mean, for a couple weeks there, you were getting multiple cases in multiple buildings. The last 3 days, I think we've had like one case in one building somewhere out of the 4 in Alma.
But if one of my children go to school tomorrow, that's a senior, goes to Fulton, they got to wear a mask? I have no idea.
No, there's no masking in schools.
Yeah.
On Friday, said they did not have to do any contact tracing or had no new cases all last week.
I see.
They say now we're gonna learn to live with it. It's like the flu but I know I do St. Louis, and it's by choice. I like it when I go outside because if it's really cold, it's warm. So I've always got it up and down and up and down. And then I go to places where you got to put it on, take it off. But I would say that the schools are pretty much, I know we watched it today. And I was the only person that had a mask underneath. And I was with the little kids.
Well, I expressed this last meeting that when you walk into this building and there's a sign that says everybody must wear a mask, and that means everybody, I think that means me, and it means Mrs. Johnson who's coming to get a marriage license, so I don't know how that's determined here. I'm not sure. Tracy, maybe you have more thoughts on that, but I just think if our building is still that way, that's what you should do. And if we decide to change something, or if Tracy decide, I don't know if that's in our pay grade to do that, or is that management of this building, or you guys tell me what you think.
Usually that stuff should come to the board.
I don't think it ever came to the board. It probably should have come to the board for formal approval. It never has.
Again, I think that there's going to be people that's going to want to wear them, and you're going to wear them no matter what. And there's people that, never get sick. And
On the other side of the coin, I don't like wearing these things, but on the other side of the coin, there's people don't want to come in because nobody's wearing them.
Yeah, I guess.
That's my business too.
My feeling is that, Tracy, we've got you to manage, you're the administrator, so I don't want to micromanage you. And if you say something that's, that something is in effect, I'm going to follow that. That's going to be the way I think about it. But I will tell you, I have had 3 county employees say, are you going to talk about this tonight in the meeting? Are you going to talk about the masks? And I said, I literally said, well, it's not on the agenda, but you can mention it in the public comments. And they're like, oh, no. We're 2 individuals were together, and the one individual was separately just, but all 3 individuals, they did not want to talk about it in public comments. But do you have a update as far as where we're at? Like, are you thinking that it's necessary to continue? Do you have an analysis or an opinion?
Well, I have some thoughts. First of all, I would like to thank you and particularly you, Commissioner Murphy, for bringing this subject up. There could be open discussion about it, which is, of course, the more mature way of doing that in a way that reflects more favorably on this board. So I appreciate that. I am at a little bit of a disadvantage in that I was not provided advance notice this topic would be discussed. So I am not able to provide you the data that I rely on. The mask, the resumption of the mask requirement, as every decision, has been both data-driven and collaborative. I base these decisions on data, not some guy told me this and somebody's unhappy about that. The ultimate responsibility of leaders is to keep people in the workplace safe. And I don't like masks either. I don't think I like masks. I don't like COVID. I don't like seeing people in our community become ill. I don't like having a large percentage of our workforce off on any given day because of illness or contact. So don't think that that I like any of this, but with some notice, I can provide you the data that I look at. And this data is distributed by our health department. And I know 2 of our board members are members of the health department board. So I'd like to assume that you are privy to and aware of that data. Again, and I said collaborative, I sent an email out to you folks indicating that this was a step that I intended to take absent input from you. And yeah, I didn't hear from any of you. But I did confer with the sheriff and I spoke with the court administrator, 2 individuals who are here in this building every day, interacting with people, trying to stay well, and also trying to lead people. It is, of course, you can make a decision, you can change this. I just please be aware that my decisions have been data-driven and trying to fulfill a responsibility of maintaining a safe and healthy workplace.
I'm wondering also when you're checking if the president, I mean, there's like, we can make a motion to do something or not do something or not to do something. But if the state says contradicts us, we have to go by the state. And if the state contradicts the federal is a say. So what I'm wondering, like if the president says you no longer have to wear a mask, you can go into restaurants, whatever. And I think it's individual. Like if the restaurant says, I know you don't have to wear them anymore, but I would like you because I own this restaurant. I think then you have to do it. But I'm just wondering, what I'm understanding is to try to get life back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watched a clipping on Fox News where you didn't have to wear the mask any longer. So a gentleman went to a meeting and had 2 police officers take him out of that meeting because he didn't have a mask on. And he was just sitting there being quiet and away from everybody else. And I hate to see anything like that happen here. A good example today, we just had a function up in the courtroom and a lot of people didn't have their mask on. A lot of judges that were there didn't have them on. So what do? Do you arrest them or do you say, oh, you're the judge, you don't have to? And there was a lot of people. So now we're going to get into, if you're a certain, like the police, if you're a police, you don't have to, or judge, you don't have to, or this person or that person. I think that's why if somebody is that afraid to go in public. A good example, I have a friend who won't go anyplace without a mask. And he goes to Myers 3 times a day, every day. And you go to Myers, nobody's got a mask on. So, this has become a real issue. And I hate to see it get out of hand because it's such an issue that's not that important. I mean, I wear a mask at school because, again, I go out 5 times for recess, I have it up or I have it down. Or if I'm with a child that's sneezing and got a cold, I put it up because I don't want to catch a cold. But a lot of times I have it down too. Like today, I've had it under my chin most of the day. So I hate to see this become such a big issue to where there's a battle between friends or between, another good example is, you know, when all this was going on, everybody wore a mask. They couldn't go get their hair done. But yet we had Nancy Pelosi that went in and got her hair done without a mask, you know, and I just hate to see this, all this kind of stuff. This is ridiculous. If you want to wear a mask, wear it. And if you don't want to be near somebody, then step away from them. I don't know. You're a guest here tonight. How do you feel about it?
I feel like it's a choice, it's the individual.
Yeah, you go to school and, I mean, there's lots of people at schools. I go to,
School board went back and forth with this, back and forth. And there's been parents that have provided comment and even some parents that were gonna take their children out of the school district because at that time they were requiring masks. And they also were relying on the data provided by the health department, but they also set some different metrics in place along with that data. I don't know if it's like collaborative, like what Tracy's talking about, but they set a new metric in place so teachers and everybody could look at it the same way. And since before Christmas, it's been provided that it is an option.
Mhm.
And as far as I have heard, they have good success rate. They're not even required to record any tracing or contact.
Mhm.
But again, that's
Yeah,
just.
it's President Biden, I heard him over the weekend say that by the end of the month, he was going to lift everything. And it's hurt a lot of restaurants. It's hurt a lot of different companies. And the other thing was shots. I mean, again, I'm a real healthy person. Like I'm with. But some people, you know, they look at you across the room and whatever you got there, they're going to get it. And I think that people that aren't very healthy usually take precaution, you know, they're a little more careful but it's a terrible thing that's happened. But I also heard the statistics, more people died from fentanyl and from these drugs than what happened in COVID-19. So, there you go.
Well, I think we should make it voluntary, but we need a motion if we want to do anything.
I'll make a motion that it's voluntary.
A motion by Commissioner Bunting. Do we have a second?
Are we taking that operation from our administrator? Away from her? Are we getting down to micromanaging this place?
Well, I don't know. I know there's been opinions expressed to me that, you know, it's
I've had
a
opinions.
lot of people are in favor of us doing this.
Well, we'll see how it stands. We'll take a vote on it and,
Well, we need a second.
I move that we table this until the next meeting. And have Tracy give us a report on what the situation is at the time. And we take it up then.
one of the things we need to do if the president has done this and he says no longer a mask, then does that override?
No, you still got governors that are saying you gotta have it. In New York, you gotta have it.
We'd have to have the governor that would have to say, no, you gotta still wear the mask. Otherwise, whatever Biden says, President Biden says, then that's how it goes. Then it would have to come from a motion through us.
I like your idea. That way there we could find out how we're getting information on how we're closing the courthouse down. I mean, And if the health department changes in the next 2 weeks, and Chuck, what did they say in there? Are you wearing a mask at the health department meetings?
No, I don't.
Anybody else?
Just the staff.
The people.
That's everybody that works there.
Is.
And then people,
Nobody on the board wears them.
pardon me?
Nobody on the board wears them.
But I mean, if you like gotta go there and get something, do they gotta wear a mask?
Our next, there's a sign on the door like there is here. Okay, our next meeting is the 1st.
Yeah, I will also, I have pretty regularly, when I've received the health department numbers, I've sent them to you. So that data has been available to you. It's also available if you go on the health department website, I think, but no, I'll be happy to provide you the data that I look at. And yeah.
Let's do that. Let's go from there.
Well, the motion's died for lack of a second, so I guess we're there anyway.
Or Commissioner Lemon motion.
Oh, okay, the motion to table. Okay,
So the next meeting, and Tracy will have us information on how she gathers the information up.
all righty. We have a motion and a second to table this. Any further discussion?
I'll just say that I like this approach better. Emotionally, Jan, I hear what you're saying and I want to go with you, but I don't feel like I'm really qualified to vote. Like to say, I've got science that says.
Well, the point I was getting at is it doesn't matter what the science is any longer. If the president of the United States says you no longer have to wear a mask, it's not mandated any longer, then it's not mandated. And even if we put a sign up and somebody comes here, they can say, you know what, I'm not wearing a mask, and they can go someplace else. And that's probably what will happen. Or they'll come in and say, president says I don't have to wear it.
Well,
So do you arrest these people? What do you do? I mean, I don't want to see us get into, I've been watching the stuff on TV where somebody walks into a meeting. Somebody could walk in here and sit in this chair up here. And all of a sudden we have our police officer handled. I mean, literally, when they tried to take him out, his coat come off, they had 2 people take him out. And it's considered a slander. So now he's going to sue the police department. And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, this is just craziness, but it's no longer mandated in the state. I can watch that channel again and find out where it's at. And then you could maybe bring it up on your computer.
I can assure you that we have not arrested anyone
No.
in
I
the
don't
Gratiot
think-
County, no, in the Gratiot County Courthouse. Some of this, just like everything else, there's a law that says you shouldn't murder, but it's up to every individual at the end of the day as to whether they're going to commit a murder. And yes, there are consequences, but there has to be. I can make a decision. Again, having advised you in advance, I can make a decision data-based on what I think is best for the health and safety of our staff. And at the end of the day, if only my nameplate wears a mask, I can't control that. I can't control that. We try to make decisions that are defensible. And as leaders, we must model the very best and safest practices. What was going on in the courtroom today was troubling. However, it was just troubling. It doesn't make it okay. It was folks deciding that they were not going to comply with that, perhaps didn't see the sign at the door. But, in all of this, as citizens, we have to just agree to help as a community to keep us all well. And it's unfortunate that sometimes a decision has to be made that troubles some folks. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to keep everybody well. And sometimes doing unpopular things as leaders must do. So I look forward to the opportunity to present you or show you the data that I've been relying on. And if that data suggests in a couple of weeks that, yeah, it's time to change the mask situation, I welcome it. I welcome that. So I'll just leave it at that, but I can also say with 100% complete confidence that between now and March 1, no one will be arrested for failing to wear a mask in the Gratiot County Courthouse.
That's good to know.
Any further?
You have, just real quick, do you have a meeting between now and March 1 at the health department?
Yes,
I mean, I would talk to the doc over there and see what, and the administrator,
that's fine.
what they're thinking, how they're coming up with what they ought to do there.
Okay,
Because there's the one dictating it out to our county, to Clinton and Mont County. I mean, they're giving us, I'm sure they're giving Tracy the data or whatever.
Yeah, this is data that is issued to a great many of us. And like I say, I've passed a fair bit of it on to you. I also, when I have some questions, and I will confer directly with Liz Braddock. I mean, we have conferred throughout this situation. It's been, close communication for nearly 2 years now, trying to navigate this, making the very best decisions that we possibly can.
When you talk to her, ask her, why would the courthouse have to wear masks, but your schools don't? Now, I'm in 5 schools.
Yeah, I'm not here to govern the schools. I welcome you to call Liz.
I mean, we only have what, 100?
Chuck's got the inside track. I mean, he's on the
Yeah.
board, so he should just work that out and see where we're at with that.
Your schools have like several hundred kids. Wow.
okay.
Well, and by the way, the health department doesn't tell anyone to do anything. They've never taken that
They
position.
just give information, yeah.
They give information and recommendations. They have never throughout this situation said that.
That's good.
Okay, any further discussion? Then we have a motion on the floor to table. Angie, could you please make a roll call of it?
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey is absent. Commissioner Bunting,
No,
Commissioner Lumberman,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
No, motion failed. Since we didn't have a second on the other motion, I guess we're moving forward.
I'm sorry, moving forward, how?
To the finance meeting.
Yeah.
There was a motion to make it voluntary, and that died for lack of a second. So I don't see anything else on this issue.
I think I was confused. I thought you were voting on the motion to table.
Right, we are.
it failed.
Yeah,
So you're not
Motion failed.
tabling it.
not
So-
correct.
So you're not
It was
tabling it,
2-2.
and you will not be looking for a presentation from me at the next meeting. That's what I understand the effect of your motion and the vote to be. Again, I just need to understand so I'm prepared.
I would think it would come up for discussion again.
I'd like to know if you're asking something of me and I can be prepared.
Tracy, I guess what I'd like to do is, this thing didn't pass or whatever, but I basically like to have you put some data together, because it's going to come up for discussion again. And we're going to be in the same thing here where we don't know what the facts are, how you get the information. So if you could get the information, how you're acquiring it, how are you, and if it's the health department, where you're looking to make this determination to have the courthouse open or closed. And just if you have some type of explanation for that and what the numbers are or whatever, I just think if you had that in your hand, that'd be great.
Very happy to do that. And it also, that's sounding like an agenda item. I leave that to you, but I'm very happy to share the data that I rely on. Happy to do
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just end up next month, or in 2 weeks, it'll be the same place. We don't want to micromanage, but if the data is flawless or whatever, let's just make a choice or whatever. I mean, for me, Sam Smith choice is fine, but I just don't want to micromanage this courthouse and say that ought to be yellow or blue or, I do like to see the roof fixed in the courthouse. So when it looked up, it's bad.
Especially the ceiling.
The ceiling, yeah. Oh, no,
No, you were told not to look up.
I know that. Yes, that's right.
All right, look, we're looking for a motion to move to the finance meeting. Motion by Commissioner Smith. I need a second. Second by Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. John?
Oh,
All right, so go ahead and call the finance meeting to order. And start off. Director's report.
Commissioner Lemmerman, can you confirm that I do have the correct screen shared? I think I had an issue the last meeting. It starts with
Your February 10th memo, yes?
very good. All right. So first on the finance director's report is a quick update on the audit. This is a few days old. Currently, we have, I believe, 2 or 3 outstanding items left for the audit. One of them is a project that I'm working on, updating our general ledger to be in compliance with GASB 84. And unfortunately, that's been a little bit more of a project than I expected. And the other project that the treasurer is working on is a reconciliation of the delinquent tax fund monthly balances. But we are finishing up the last little bit of the audit, and the auditor should be beginning our financial statements shortly. Once the financial statements and audit report is completed, they submit these to the state of Michigan Department of Treasury. And then typically, historically, the first meeting in March is when they come and present the statements and report to the Board of Commissioners.
Chris, when will we be getting our packet of this report that she does?
As soon as they're printed. Like I said, they're not even drawn up right now. So I would expect you to get them at least a week ahead of the meeting, hopefully 2.
Get an email when it's available, correct?
Absolutely. I'll let you know right away.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Didn't they or you download this to us?
Did I send an electronic
Didn't
copy?
didn't we get those downloaded last year? How did we get those last year beforehand?
In the prior year, as soon as it's available, I forward it to you through email
Yeah.
and
that's
then
what I
let you
thought.
know that hard copies are available
Yep.
in the clerk's
Chris,
office.
I would like to see us have that 2 weeks prior to any appearance by the auditors in printed form.
All right. Could I ask you if there was an issue with that timeline for the first meeting in March? Would you prefer to bump that meeting to the second?
Yes, I
Meeting
think
March?
I think we should have printed copies of the
Okay, that
audit.
didn't answer my question, though. Typically, we like to get it to you and present it as soon as possible, which is the first meeting in March. But if you don't have 2 weeks,
Right, but we should have 2 weeks where we've had the printed copies.
okay, so the second meeting in March is what we will shoot for.
That would be great, yes.
Because the March 1st is 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay,
Thank
very good. I'll make a note of that. The second, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We're just gonna change her to the second meeting of March then. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Do you think she'll have it done within the next week, Chris?
Most likely not. No, I'd forgotten that the first meeting of March is actually on the first day of March, which makes it a little tough.
So if she's not done with the report, we wouldn't get it anyway, right?
15.
That is correct. That is why we've collectively agreed that it'd be best to do it on the second meeting in March.
And she's got about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks to get it done. I mean.
So that's what I'm saying. What if she
we can
doesn't have
have
it?
It would be the 15th of March, you know.
You know, I had misspoke and I apologize for that. It's not March. It would be April.
Okay, that's plenty of time.
Typically she's presented the first meeting in April.
And we might be able to hit that.
Yeah. she got lots of-
So, and if you don't have the 2 weeks, I'll make sure that it'll be the second meeting in April. So again, my apologies.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Thank you,
Yep.
Chris.
Thank you for continuing to talk that through. All right, the second item is drain prepayments. Again, I've shown you the totals here. I printed off and put in front of you 2 more requests for prepayments from the drain commissioner. The drain commissioner actually uploaded these to board book for the second meeting in January, and I did not discuss them with you. But I have them printed off in front of you. I also have a copy for Angie so that she can upload them again. But somewhere in the process, there was an error in the calculation of what the county's prepayment amount would be for 2 drains 40 and drains 424. If you wish to prepay this in full, it would require an additional $16,792.36. And this would be required to be paid before the end of the month, which is before the next meeting. So if you show interest in making that additional prepayment, we'll need to make some sort of approval of that tonight to have me do that. Is that something that the board is interested in discussing right now?
Chris, this drain prepayment, this wasn't the one that we had to do a couple months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. We didn't have all the numbers but we knew what it was gonna roughly be. We had to pay it by a certain time. This is a separate one, right?
We did approve an amount for both of these drains previously.
Okay, this is the one, yeah, okay, so we were just short on money that we did, or?
We didn't approve the full amount because there was a recalculation.
I see. So do you remember what we approved?
I do not, but I can look for it real quick.
Oh, that's okay. So we need another 16 grand, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Seems to me like it was 12 or $14,000 or something. It was a minimal amount on those drains to pay ahead. We had to do it by a certain time.
If you'd like, while Terry is presenting, I can look that up and you guys can, well, you'll have to revisit this outside of the finance.
We'd have to do this in the regular session.
That's what I thought. But as far as a discussion point, I think there's no reason to not prepay it.
No, just figure out what the difference, if this 16,000 is the difference, or is that all of it?
So you'll get that figured out by the time we go back in session.
Correct.
That's excellent.
All right, third talking point on the director's report, just the OPEB balance as of February 10th. You can see that, we dropped a small amount within a 30-day period there, a small amount, 1%. It's not a small amount, but as you know, the stock market has been fluctuating fairly wildly lately. However, it seems to be sticking fairly well within the ups and downs. And lastly, the ARP funds and project list has been updated. Save for the 2 projects that were approved tonight, which were for an additional $330,800. I would like to ask, I didn't write in my notes, for the Village of Parrington, was that up to 315 or was it 315, just for my notes?
It was 315,000.
Thank you. So that will put us at where we have
4,3.
should be close to $3.8 million that we have encumbered or promised for projects. Out of these larger projects, ones that we have paid out include Hope House. Ithaca has made a significant draw on theirs. And just this week, Elma has made a significant draw on theirs. I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 220,000 of the 226 that they requested. And I do want to say that for all 3 of those, I'm very happy with the process and the participation and the amount of detail that they have provided to me so that I can have that information in my files when we are audited for it next year. So that concludes my report. Then I can go ahead and I'll move on to our cash balances without any questions. For January 2022, our cash balances are as presented. The only comment I would have is that some of our tax collections have been a little bit slower than they have in the previous years. While that's not too terribly surprising, because I do know last year around this time, we did have stimulus checks that went out to the majority of the residents in Gratiot County. So having a stimulus check from the government did make paying taxes much easier.
Yeah.
Other than that,
That was my question, Chris. Usually it looks like we're pretty much dead even between December and January, and this 3.5%, 559,000 down. So you're saying the tax collection is lower?
not lower. Tax collection will always be 100% because of the way that we operate, but it's
Right.
slower. People are
Okay.
haven't been paying early, or we may see a few more delinquencies than we did in the prior year.
Okay.
Without further question, I'll move on to the check register. I will give you a moment to review that. And while you review that, I will open up my system so that I can answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, Chris, on January 28th, check for 5478 to Fahey Schultz and a couple other names, PLC, legal fees, I'm assuming. What's that for?
Oh, my computer wants to update. Of course it does. Could you give me that date one more time, please?
January 28th.
Thank you. Let me get down there.
FAH05.
$5,478.
Right.
Just give me 1 second. My apologies.
He's doing a lot of windmill stuff.
Yeah, are you talking about the Fahey bill there?
Yeah, I was just wondering.
That's wind turbine.
Okay.
I mean, we will occasionally use them for odds and ends, but not often. So if you see them, you can be 99% sure it's wind turbine, particularly when there's a project that's under development.
Okay, so it's something related to those projects.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're the attorneys for, I think.
Okay.
Thank you, Tracy.
You bet.
And I know we do have a retainer from one of the developers too to help pay for some of those if it is related to one that is in development.
That's right. They ultimately pay the bill.
Okay.
We're reimbursed, so, but it runs through us. We are actually the client.
I see Rick Smith's name on here for $1,782. What would that be for?
That would be for opting out of insurance as a retiree.
Oh.
Every January, we pay those out for retirees. I'm sure by the time I finally get this open, we'll be ready to move on.
I talked to Matt about speeding that up.
Once a month, we have to, all of our systems get, all of our financial systems have an update. Today just happened to be the day. I think it's always the 15th. Well, without any more questions, I'll move on to the revenue and expenditure. Give you a moment to review that. If you have any questions on the budget's actual report, I'll be happy to.
Anything look out of line, Chris?
No, not really. Everything. I don't want to really say it, but I will. Everything is looking good.
Okay.
I don't want to jinx myself.
I noticed Fund 264, we pretty much spent the whole thing on correction officers training. Is that just, we spent it all at once?
Well, we're doing our best to attract as many new corrections officers as we can. As you know, the job market is challenging. So we've been utilizing this fund to attract new hires. And it's something that we didn't always do in the past because we're always able to fill our positions as quickly as possible. So now we'll take people and we'll train them to get them to work for us. So yes, this is something that we're using a lot more of and a lot faster, but it is a special revenue fund where a portion of a fee that an inmate pays when they're booked goes to this fund. And so it pays for itself. And we have additional funds in there that can be appropriated if we go over budget.
Okay, good. So we probably are going to end up doing that, it looks like.
It looks like we'll do a budget amendment later in the year, correct?
And I had one others here. The delinquent tax revolving fund 516.
Yeah.
We've got a $86,000 negative number there.
Yes.
What's that?
That is part, we need to do a journal entry to correct that. And it's not necessarily to correct that. I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it to you. When at the end of last fiscal year, we established accounts receivables for taxes that we were going to collect after the fiscal year closed. And when we do that, we have to reverse that entry in the new fiscal year that we're in currently.
Okay.
We did not reverse that entry, and we need to go in there and do that.
Okay.
It's just a house cleaning entry that needs to be done.
Okay, real good.
Chris, I have a question, 279, the COVID recovery fund. It shows here that we started off with $3,955,000. Did I say that right? $3,955,317. And we're down now to $1,314,406.99. What all do we spend that money on?
That was in his earlier report here, Jim.
I didn't see that.
That's the ARP.
That's the AR.
ARP fund.
And that was half the money we got.
Oh, okay.
That is on its own page there.
I think we get the second half in March.
Page 3, back in his first.
That was in the finance director's report. That was in his very first part.
I didn't see that. Is that in the finance?
Right in the finance, yeah, right at the beginning.
You know what happened? I dropped my papers, but let me see if I can find it.
So there is a difference between what we've spent and what the projects are that we've approved.
I
that
don't have it
showed.
in,
Right there, Janny's got it up.
okay, I don't have it in my thing here. Let me see.
That's there somewhere.
I don't have page 3 or 4, either one.
It's earlier in that. That's where he first started to give it.
You showed me page 3. I don't have it.
Yeah, it started here. His report, started his. report.
Okay, let me show you. I went from, oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, I guess I was thinking in my mind that it was gonna be, it wasn't been, I see you used it for general things and I guess I just didn't recognize that would be part of it. I was thinking it was gonna be more like gloves and cameras for out front there and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we've spent 500,000 out of that so far this year. And of that, some of the bigger ones that have gone out this year includes the Hope House, 215,000. A large payment, I believe, around $200,000 to the city of Ithaca. We've had salary reimbursement. There's the CASA contract, some supplies. And I think in IT, we have some laptops that have been getting charged to that. So those are the projects that are the expenditures that you're seeing in Fund 279.
Okay. I'm thinking of something else, I guess. I did not recognize it. I did have some questions on stuff, but I'm going to look it up. Different companies I'm not used to seeing on here. It's not a big deal, and I'm not going to take up our time tonight. Asking you questions on it. It's not that important. Well, anyway.
Okay, without any more questions, I will turn it over to our treasurer.
Hi, Terry.
Okay. Hello. I have submitted my investment report and my revenue report and bank transfers for January. Does anybody see anything that they have any questions about?
The only thing I have a question on, I'd like to see you change the South Bank to Huntington Bank.
That is the bank name now.
Pardon me, Jan?
You've got Chemical Bank and it really should be Huntington Bank. It's gone from Chemical to TCF to Huntington. And I gotta tell you, I felt the same way when I went to TCF, except that all of a sudden, like it won't you necessarily, but it did me. I kept my old checks and kept writing checks on them. And then all of a sudden they don't honor them. You've got to change your checks over. Then they changed to Huntington Bank. So I just like to see that brought up to date.
Chemical's been sold twice.
Yeah.
I have Chemical on, or Huntington, excuse me, on the report that I'm looking at.
The sheet that we have says September 2020.
Oh, that might be the confusion.
Chemical there.
Yeah, yeah.
Do a lot of that with CDs and stuff from families and stuff. It's when the bank changes this. They give you a new,
It's on the September 20.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll give you a new, maybe add to the account.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened on that. I
That's
apologize.
what I wondered, if we had the wrong sheet, because
Yeah,
have we had no new investments since?
we have actually, and I'm not sure why.
There's a separate new sheet also.
You could no longer
Was it
use.
January,
Okay, I see, okay.
January 2020?
One thing about.
Do you have? Pardon?
Yes, we have it.
Okay,
The reason I'm asking that is once they went with Huntington Bank, when they were TCF, I could still use a check. But now that it's Huntington Bank, not only can I not use any other checks, they've changed the routing number and the checking
Mhm.
account number. and savings account, all that stuff has been changed to different numbers.
Sure.
And that's why I'm surprised that you would have that on here.
Well,
I mean,
she made an investment here on 422. Those are 2020s. She made an investment on 422. And it's Huntington.
I was looking at, so Terry, in our presentation, it's the third piece of paper. It's a landscape paper and it says January 2022 at the top.
Correct.
That's what we're supposed to look at.
Yes.
One real interesting thing I see from 2020 is those Michigan class money markets in 2020 were yielding 2.56. And now they're yielding 0.08.
Mhm.
They're starting to come back.
And those do fluctuate a lot, especially with the road commission, because they do a lot of, they do quite a few transactions. So those amounts do fluctuate quite a bit.
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is that you should probably check with the bank just in case. And tell them what you have and see if there's anything you're supposed to do. I know that when they went to Huntington Bank, I was up in Mount Pleasant and I decided to, because of my credit cards, I went on and called them, see if I needed a different one. He goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you called." He said, "They tell you, you don't have to do anything." But he said, what happens down the road 4 or 5 months from now or 6 months from now, you will have to change certain things on it. And so I now have Huntington Bank. I don't have TCF, and I don't have chemical, either one. But I'm just saying, you want to cross your Ts and dot your Is on it.
On this January 2022 paper.
I saw it there,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no chemical bank.
But I mean, even on the, if these are CDs, even on those, she might have to, I don't know, you'd have to ask them.
You'll have to wait till they renew. They'll just renew under chemical.
Thank you for that, Jan.
Then one other sheet here, the commercial bank, those are funds have been transferred from one account to another.
Correct.
I noticed there's one large one for 626,000. What's that?
That is 626,000. That's 5618. That is our insurance payment to 44 North. It's a reimbursement payment to them.
Oh, okay.
You're on the.
Yeah, anytime you see that, that account, that to account, that number, that's going to be what that is to 44 North.
Going forward, Terry, on this commercial bank, on the transfers, would we be able to have like a list of what accounts we have with commercial bank, like on the
Yeah.
side? And so just like myself, when I'm doing online banking, like I might have 2 different MasterCards, but I'll say, Tony's MasterCard, John's MasterCard, so that I know, like, could you like put names with the accounts so you could say?
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to handwrite them in, John, but yeah, I'd be glad to do that.
Okay, I would help me keep straight what money is moving from what to what.
Okay. So like when you just asked what that was, do you want me to write on the side what that is, or do you just want me to, let me see. Okay, that would be easy enough.
I think if you wrote on the side, that would be good right there. Just so
Okay, sure.
so we could see where things are flowing.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So all of these are internal transfers. These are like, so the bottom, the total $733,600. These are all internal transfers from one of our accounts to another one of our accounts.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we're actually unable, we cannot transfer money to an account that we do not own.
Okay.
So we actually do own an account with 44 North, and we actually do share an account with Road Commission. You'll see transfers to those, but we are a
Oh,
part
okay.
of those accounts.
Yes.
You know, Terry, I think with commercial, and I don't know about your stuff, but my stuff, you can go into your, and maybe you can't go into, but if you talk to them down there, in my accounts, like I'll have Sam and Carol's personal account, in my business account, it'll say savings account, it'll say daily checking account, money market account for business, and you can type that right in and kind of give them accounts names. And it just puts another row on the outside of them.
Okay, yeah, like a
If you
nickname.
had an
is
account
what-
there when you go to 44 North, you'd say, we're sharing this. I have an account for my payroll and they take it out, they transfer it inside and then pay my payroll every 2 weeks and it's a payroll account. And so they put it in there, the payroll company debits it. And I know that money's moved through that from there to there. And that's. what
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
but
I know-
You could do that right with them. I know with my small operation, you can, I don't know if you can, but
Okay, all right, that's a good idea.
yeah.
It'll save me having to write on the side, Sam.
It just pops up there every time, yeah.
Okay. I will get that taken care of. Does anybody have anything else?
Oh, great job.
Terry,
Okay.
I have one other question. Is there like, next month, should we be looking for like an annual treasurer's report?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, John.
Should we be looking for like an annual treasurer's report from you as far as, the activity, like a recap of the past year?
That generally happens in September, but there's a form. It's also turned into the Department of Treasury, but there's a form that needs to be used and they have not updated that form. So this last year, that was not a requirement.
Okay.
They're thinking in 2022, but they haven't got that form yet. So I can't say for sure, but that's why there wasn't one this last year because there was no form to do it.
Okay. So as far as you know right now, at some point there'll be one for fiscal year 2021.
That's what they're telling us right now.
Okay, very good.
I'll keep you informed on that and let you know when I hear anything new.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
Chris, were you going to tell us about the drain prepayments? What the original motion was?
Probably got to do that in regular session anyway, right?
I can show you real quick. I did find
Good, okay.
the drain commissioner's memo from a couple weeks ago, from a month ago. So what I'm showing you on the screen right now is drain 424. And what we see here is the original assessed amount, $10,622, which we paid. The revised is $15,045. The new assessment amount is $4,423. If you pay it up front, which we have in front of us on a piece, on a memo, it's $4,202. So we save an extra $221 paying this one, prepaying it. If we look at drain 40, the original assessment was 46,000. The revised is 59,000. The new assessment amount that we would have to pay is 13,252 if we went through the loan. Our prepay amount is 12,590, which we have that number in front of us printed off on the memo. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So that number is accurate. How, are we using 420222 on the other one? Or you gave a number of 4423?
4423 would be the amount we'd have to pay if we went through the 10-year loan process.
Oh, okay. So
Prepaying would be 4202.
Okay, great. Well, we already approved most of it. Are we
Correct.
saying that?
Yeah,
So-
the majority of it's already been paid.
What's the reassessment involved? I mean, how do we miss it by that much or whatever? Just because it wasn't put together well, I knew we had to get it in by a certain date or something.
I was not communicated that information. I can look real quick in this memo to see if there's something. And I can update you. You guys can continue on and I'll update you if I see anything in here.
Okay,
It's a burn question.
yeah, it might be. I mean, because I remember those numbers that he talked about and he said we're gonna be pretty close, but I don't know. I guess I don't even know how to like reassess them. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, we get maybe missed 50-foot of measurement or something. We could have some farmer over there, you know, corner, but leave it there.
Yeah.
How do they reassess a drain? Do you know real quick?
I believe it's after, ones that I pay on, we're all reassessed after work has been done to them.
Oh, so we get a final number?
Completed with it.
I see. Okay. That makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
I don't see any type of explanation for why there was a reassessment or why the number changed. So I apologize for that.
Well, we just know from the undersheriff, he knows everything about farming.
So Chris, would it work if we had a motion to pay it up to these two new amounts? Would that work?
Yes, that would be fine.
So I guess, Matt, is there anybody online? Is there any public comments for the finance committee? Finance meeting?
Nope, nobody else is connected in right now.
All right, then I guess I will declare the finance meeting adjourned and we'll go back into regular session.
Without objection. And then we'll need a motion to approve the financial report for last month. And then we have to deal, motion by Commissioner Smith, second.
Second.
By Commissioner Lemmerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion passed. And then we're looking for another motion on these prepayments. It sounds like up to these two figures.
Make a motion on drain 40 and drain 424 to pay the reassessment, the amount of on drain 40, 12,590.14 and the drain 424, 4202.22,
And what's that? It come to 16.
16, 7 something.
Yeah.
All right.
790.
Motion by Commissioner Smith. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Bunting. Any discussion on that?
I think it's nice that we're doing a lot of work in Gratiot County.
All those in favor, aye?
Save some money.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay? Motion passed. Anything else? Nobody's, no public comment here. Anybody online?
I have a
Nobody
question.
online.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Question for the undersheriff. How many people are you lodging over at the sheriff's office?
Our daily average right now is about 30 people. But the training, asked about that. We're a little short on that money right now, probably because obviously since March of 20, or 2020, fewer and fewer people have been in the jail. There's a set fee that every person is looking at. That's the person training fund. So I know that it's probably lower than it used to be, which would lead to us going through the money quicker. And the fact that we've had some turnover, we have been training, there's people training right now in the jail,
So we may need to look at putting some funds toward that, maybe?
what's that?
We may need to look at putting some funds toward that. If,
Well.
well, let us know. Yeah, let us know.
And also, what's happening with our drugs pouring into Gratiot County? You gave a good report they did at the
Association meeting.
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a constant battle, as we all know. You know, the sheriff will basically tell us our biggest nemesis right now is amphetamine. It's here, it comes in here from all different directions. I mean, we are a host county for it, but it comes here from Lansing, Saginaw, Mount Pleasant, the Grand Rapids, Muskegon area. That's where the large quantities, you're seeing it now be so prevalent because it's cheap. Most of your meth is not made locally. Go back 5-10 years ago, you were hearing about meth labs in the county. They're very, very rare. I mean, I don't even remember the last one that they've had. Why? Because there's so much meth coming up from Mexico to the United States that it's, why would you risk making it and having a lab? And number one, you could kill yourself from blowing up. This is extremely dangerous. Number two, if you get caught with the components in making a lab, crime is much more severe than possession of the meth. So if they just have the meth, or even if they're selling it, it's way less of a you know, in the eyes of the law than it is to be manufacturing the drugs. So there's a lot of things that come into play in that. But it is
They were telling on Fox News that billions of dollars is out of the United States on these drugs. Unreal.
It is, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
How much money leaves this country every single day for drugs.
I'd like to see these truck drivers that are going to be protesting at the end of this month, when they get done, go down there and maybe block the entrance coming in.
I've heard that idea.
Yeah, that's what they're talking. Yeah.
All righty.
That's
They
really,
get it here more than, I think it comes here in many ways, but
yeah, I do too.
unfortunately, it's here in it.
Is there a lot of it in Gratiot though?
Of math? Oh, yeah, it's. I'm working to find on traffic stops.
I just don't get it. I don't get why somebody wanted, why they'd want to go that road. I don't know.
I feel like. Why?
You know what amazes me? This is really off the top of your words. Who's the first guy who tried that? Who's the first guy who said we're gonna put some bleach and Drano and put them little red pills together?
I didn't think I tried to
Like,
cancer.
I guess I'll just give this a whirl and see what it does. You know, it's like jumping off that ski hill, 500 mile an hour. Now you're just gonna launch off there and hope you land right, like that a spin. Like, my God.
And let me ask you this too.
The agony of the deep end.
You think that people accidentally get it like in parties or, even when I go to McDonald's now and I get like a Coca-Cola or I get a sandwich, I have to think, would somebody be stupid enough to put it in your food or your drink? And
I don't know whether you know you got it, you know what I mean?
And you come here and you're down to 60 pounds and your teeth are falling out, I'm gonna start questioning you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're usually addicted to something else first, and then the fact that people chase a better high, or, you know what I mean? This is a cheap alternative to, let's say, some more common drugs. Prescription drugs are typically the things you get addicted to. They can't afford the habit, so they go to these other street drugs. Heroin became popular, fentanyl. That's exactly why.
But they start,
And then you start using it.
yeah.
And you're addicted forever. I mean, it's.
But I see kids at the school, nice kids, and I think, how would these kids ever get mixed up in that? They got good parents and,
Usually it starts with an injury. A lot of kids start with an injury. They get hurt doing something, car accident, sports, something happens in their life, they start taking pain pills. Pain pills lead to, you get addicted to them quickly. It's easy to get more of them at the doctor's office, and then all of a sudden, they're like, you're cured, you don't need them anymore. Your body's telling you need them, and then they start stealing and buying them. Or they'll buy them until their money runs out, then they steal things. And then once you've stole so much from your parents, your grandparents, your neighbors, that they've had it, even if you're a nice kid from a nice family, eventually the money flow ends. I still gotta get high, so that's how they then go to the illicit street drugs. A lot, that's not every person, but a lot of people that you think of, how on earth did this family end up with, their son using drugs? That's what
So
happened.
if somebody went in for a surgery, they get out of the hospital or they're in the hospital and they give them pain pills,
Yeah.
is that a bad thing?
Well, no, you need them to deal with the pain. The problem is people like the way that makes them feel. They don't want to feel any pain. And so they continue to take them probably longer than they really need to. That is where the addiction happens. You got to be careful. Anybody who's ever had any kind of medical procedure, you have to go into it in the mindset, I'm not getting addicted to this stuff. I mean, I've had my own family members who've had to say, enough is enough. I'm going to withstand some pain and just take a Tylenol or an ibuprofen to deal with some extra pain, simply so that your body's not becoming addicted to the stuff.
When we had that closed session not too long ago on the opioid settlement, that's why we got the settlement.
Yes.
I don't,
Mhm.
Because the companies knew
They knew it,
a
yeah.
certain percentage was going to become addicted.
Absolutely. They knew.
And they went ahead with it
They
anyway.
went forward with it anyhow.
They got docs pushing it out.
They got doctors pushing it. They got their pharmaceutical reps giving it to doctors to use it as a trial, and then that's why they lost them. They knew what they were doing.
All righty.
And it's sad. It's really.
Well,
Thank you for asking.
we've exhausted our agenda, so without objection, we're adjourned.
okay.